Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2024 Forest River Surveyor 202Rble. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera as well as a lippert stair system, so you can get up to your roof and check your seals and all that good stuff. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can just contact your parts department and they can get you a quote to get that all hooked up. We also have your rear tire, spare tire in the back, as well as your 2-inch receiver. And then in the back left corner, you pull this cap off, you get access to that sewer hose. Once fully extended, it is about 20 feet long. Just taking note of those 2 ears there. Those are gonna be the same 2 ears that hook up to your sewer outlet system, which I'll show you in a minute. You just keep that stored away in the back bumper to keep some of the stench out of the unit. Right here, you're gonna find your main twist lock power, 30 amp power cord inlet. Taking note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch here. Just pushing that into place, 1/8 turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug end. Just keep it in mind, you're going down to, just keep it in mind when you're at 30 amps power. If you do use the 15 amp park adapter we include with the unit, you can't run something like your air conditioner. Really, you're only supposed to be running your fridge and your lights on that. Whenever you do plug this in, you're just gonna get that green light telling you have a successful power source. A red light would be telling you you have a bad power source and it's not a problem with the trailer. You got your cable satellite inlet right there. You got your black tank flush. The way that works is with your black tank open and connected with your sewer hose. Thread a garden hose in here, turn it on, and that's gonna flush out the tank. Just getting away, dealing with any false monitor panel readings or any aroma you notice inside the unit after a while. You got your city water connection right here. The way that works is if you're out of sight with service, you can thread that on in there, turn it on. It's gonna pressurize all your lines without the need to run your water pump. In this corner, as well as all 4 corners of the unit, you got stabilizer jacks. You're gonna hook up that tool inside the front compartment, which I'll show you in a minute. Run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, just giving another 1/8 quarter turn just to snug it up, and it's gonna take any bounce or sway you see you have in the unit right now away. You've got 2 tanks here. You got your black and your gray. You're always gonna wanna empty your black first. It's your dirtiest water, filled from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray tank, which is typically a little cleaner water, filled from your sinks and your showers. You got that sewer cap, which has the same ear as your sewer hose does. They just line up with the notches here, and you just lock that in place. You got your 2 low point drains right down here. The way those work is, crack those guys open. It's just gonna drain any water that you have inside the lines currently. And that's just gonna stop that water from going stale or stagnant in there from sitting for a while. A little further down the unit, you do get your fresh water inlet. Popping that guy off, put your garden hose in there, turning that on. It's gonna fill your fresh tank. That's what your water pump draws off of. The drain for that fresh tank is just right down below. Right here, open this up, open this valve, and that's just gonna drain all the water inside the fresh tank. Another stabilizer jack. You got your tankless water heater system. The way that works is just pull that open. This is really just a service port. There's not much you're gonna need to worry about here, except for that switch. Always making sure that switch is in the on position, supplying power to the 2 other switches inside. And I'll also show you that once we get there. To get that back in place, you're just pushing. Opening up that front compartment, you do get some storage space. Around the front of the unit, you'll notice right up front, you got your battery disconnect. The battery disconnect the way it is. The batteries are connected to the unit in the on position. If you were to turn that to off position, the batteries become disconnected from the unit. The battery's housed inside this box. Loosening off this strap will allow you to pull that cover off, and you get access to that. You have 2 20-pound propane tanks located underneath this cover. You just gotta loosen these 2 tabs off and kind of push them back, allowing this cover to pop open. Most times you can do everything you need to do just by doing that. But if you were to want to have to take these out to get them filled, you can just lift and pull, and this whole cover will pop off. You got your selector valve right on that regulator there with that little white tab pointed to this tank. You are drawing off this tank, so you're just opening that up like your barbecue at home. It opens up the supply of propane to the unit. If this tank were to go empty, close this off, switch over to this side, and you can unconnect that and go get it filled. While you're still drawing off the other one, you got your tongue jack in the front, override up top in case it were to stop working for whatever reason. We do include the tool for that in the front compartment, which I'll show you in a second. You got a light as well as up and down. Then this compartment here, you're just lifting up. You got your 25-foot water hose, as well as that 15-amp park adapter I told you about earlier. Located on this wall, you got this 3/4 drive nut. That's for running those stabilizer jacks down to the ground. You also have a manual one here as well. This is going to be for that override for the tongue jack. That just goes in the top there. One way is up, the other way is down. And then this tool here is just for your slide out override. Just stick it inside this hole here, and you just got to line these 2 notches up with the 2 notches that are inside there, and it'll allow you to manually run that slide if it were to fail for whatever reason. And then not last but not least, the exterior. You're opening this guy up. Does lock into place. Now all the other compartments do magnetically lock, and this one isn't a magnet. It's just a little kind of latch there. You got your outside fridge, which is only 120, so it'll only work when you're hooked up to shore power. Pulling this guy out will allow this tray to slide out. Pulling this off to the side will allow you to open that up. You can lift this cover off by grabbing a corner. Your stove's going to sit on this side, and your little sink tray is going to sit on the other side. You've got this water hose that you can use inside your sink tray. Like, all you have to do is lift this cover up. You're just taking that notch there and lining it up with these notches here, pushing it into place and twisting. We'll lock it in, and it'll allow you to have water. Sink tray sits in there like so. And then you do have your little exterior griddle as well. Sit it on top like that. If you're going to be leaving it for a while, you just loosen off this one leg, allow the other legs to fall into place, and you can screw in this leg and it'll lock it into place. We're going to be using this for a short time, so I'm not going to do that today. You got 2 ends for your propane quick connect. This end's going to connect to this side. So you're just pulling that collar back like an air hose, pushing it into that regulator. I like to just support that regulator a little bit, just so in case you do push a little too hard, you don't break it. Take that hose, run it down, and you got another quick connect right down here. With this valve the way it is, the flow of propane is closed, and it'll allow you to operate that valve, pushing, locking into place like the top side, opening up the flow. For an added safety feature, it won't allow you to disconnect it. You got flow up to the griddle, and then you just turn on the griddle and hit that igniter, and it lights right on up. And then to close the flow, just do that, and it'll allow you to disconnect that line. Whenever your furnace is running, this is going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. You got 2 120 outlets, as well as a cable satellite outlet in case you would want to run a TV out here. Get inside the unit, you're just taking this assist handle, folding it 90 degrees and locking it into place. Opening up your door, allow you to get inside. Take those stairs, slide that latch over and allow you to fold it down. You got 2 knobs on either side. It'll allow you to adjust your feet height for your campsite needs, so they sit nice and level. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on your right is just your fire extinguisher. You just like pull the pin and shoot. Right up top here, you do have kind of a control center. You got your awning LED switch, your porch light switch, your interior light switch, and then a mood lighting switch, which just does an accent light right above the slide out. To get that slide out to run, you're just hitting that button down. It'll allow that slide out to make its way out. Once that slide out's fully extended, you're gonna hear the motors wind up and the clicking, and that's when you know you're fully extended. So there you go, you heard that clicking. Then last but not least, you got your awning extend switch. Hitting that button extend allows that awning to make its way out. Once the awning's fully extended, you're gonna see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. There you go, you got that flap, the back of the metal tube. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, and just pull down, and it'll change its pitch to the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm, just always making sure you push that arm back to straight before you bring it in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. To retract it, you're just hitting that retract button, watching it as it rolls in, making sure it rolls the right way in. Once those arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors are just going to cut out and you can let off the button. And there you go. And then you do have your solar controller. This really is just a monitor panel system though. Pushing the up and down buttons will tell you your different settings. You got your temperature setting, your voltage setting, and then your amperage setting right down here. Hitting enter will take you through your different menus. You could go between your settings menu and all that other stuff. You got two key hangers right there. You got your fridge right on your left hand side there. Opening that fridge up, right down at the bottom here, you're going to notice we have a charcoal filter. That's just going to help with any odor inside the unit. It does just slide out like so, and we sell replacement ones at the store here, so you can contact our parts department about getting a couple of those. You got your temperature setting right next to that, obviously with it all the way clockwise. It's going to be its coldest setting, and anywhere behind there is a little warmer. And then you got your off-grid section. So if you do want this fridge to run on 12 volt, you do have to make sure it's set to off-grid before you leave. Right down below, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a fuse breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. Whenever you have a fuse blow, there'll be a little red indicator light telling you which one's gone. You got some closet space. Opening up this door brings you inside the bathroom. Light switch on your left, as well as a fan switch. You do have an overhead fan here. You're lifting that guy up. Keeping in mind, noticing that it does just open up into the atmosphere. So getting a max air cover will allow you to be able to run this fan whether it's raining or you're traveling. But if you don't have that max air fan, if it starts raining, you do have to close it. That way you don't get any water inside. You got your toilet, flushing on the right. You got your main GFI plug. You got test on the bottom, reset up top. If you have that green light, it's telling you the system's good. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I would check. You got your heated tank holding system. It's for that extended camping season. Really, it's mainly for your fall camping. Manitoba winters, we get much too cold for this to be adequate to go camping in that kind of weather. You got your water pump switch, turning that on turns your water pump on, which draws from your fresh tank. You got your monitor panel system, so you got your battery, your fresh, your black, and your gray, and that goes low, fair, good, and charging for the battery, and for the tanks it goes empty, a third, 2/3, and then full. You got a water heater switch, so the way that it works is you turn that on, it's going to supply power to this. At that point, you have to push this button. Pushing that button up or down will change the set temperature, and as soon as you turn on a hot water tap, it'll start warming up to temperature right away, and it'll show you that right here. You can change between Celsius and Fahrenheit just to push that button, and then just pushing those buttons to turn it all off. You got storage again underneath, shower with hot and cold water. Taking a step into the main living space and kitchen space, you got your stove and your oven, which work pretty simple. You're just holding that glass top back. Again, just being mindful that it's glass, so you want to be nice and gentle with it. You got some knife holding spots in the back. It does come with a little Surveyor cup as well. To get that stove to light, you're just turning it over to that light and hitting that sparker, and it does fire right on up. Sometimes it does take a few minutes just to clear all the air out of the propane lines if you've had the propane off for a while. And then if you open this, you get to your stove. You got a light switch on your right, all the way down does the oven light and the blue accent lights, or you can go just up to turn the accent lights on. Turning that oven over to the pilot option, holding and pushing it in, hitting that sparker, and that pilot fires right on up. Now just holding it for another second, then you can turn up to your desired temperature and it fires right on up. Now we did have the propane run up just a few minutes ago, so that's why it fired up so fast. Sometimes the oven does take much longer than the stove, so just be mindful of that and don't panic. You got your central vac system. Just sliding that over will allow you to plug that any tool in. You got your power switch on the left, And then they do follow this. They say you don't need a dustpan. If you're just lifting that up, it'll suck everything in front of it away. Just being mindful that it does go into a bag. So really you're only going to be wanting to sweep up dirt, dust, and sand. You're not going to be wanting to put any sticks or sharp objects in there because you do run the risk of puncturing the bag. On this wall here, you do get your thermostat. The way that works is you're pushing and holding that. It's going to turn that thermostat on. It'll bring you to your last setting that you're at. So we're currently at cool. So at any point in time, hitting that fan button will take you between your different fan settings. Whenever you do go to run the furnace, always making sure you have the fan speed on automatic, otherwise the furnace isn't going to fire properly. Hitting the mode button at any time takes you between the different settings. You can run just the fan. If you're running just the fan, it's just moving air around with the air conditioner, no cooling involved. And then you got dry, so it's going to kick the air conditioner in and out as needed, depending on what your humidity level is inside at any point in time. Again, up and down to change the set temperature, and then just push and hold to turn that off. Right down below, because this furnace and the oven and stove both run off propane, we do have an LP detector right down here if that guy ever starts going off. You're just going to want to close the main supply propane off at the front of the unit, then open up some windows and turn on some fans. That way you can evacuate those fumes a little bit. You got your main seating area here with some overhead lights above. All the lights are on their own center push buttons, so if you want to turn them on and off individually, you can do so. All the blinds in the unit also do work the same way. They're just going to kind of sit where you leave them, and then just one quick pull will allow them to retract back up. You got your fire exit here. The way that works is you just need to take that tab, give it a pull. The screen's going to pop right out of place, and it'll allow you to take this and push it out, hop out of the unit. You got your bed with charging ports on both sides of the bed. Window at the back there, you do have cup holders on either side, as well as a little shelf, some storage all around, and then of course you can lift up the foot of the bed and you get a little bit more storage space, as well as that central back tool set there. Keep note of how I have these travel straps here for these chairs, so whenever you are traveling, you want to make sure you have all the travel straps in the unit, including the one for the TV latched. That way it doesn't allow this to go anywhere, cause any damage whenever you're traveling. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.